Alright, well this video is going to be a little boring, but it'll be just me driving the Jimny for the first time on the road, legal with tags, and talking about my experience with getting tags in Virginia with a Vermont title, or lack of Vermont title, on an imported vehicle. Just some of the stuff that I had to go through trying to get it, and all the problems I had with DMV. Well, anyway, let's just get to the video. You can enjoy the view looking out, kind of a POV of me driving the Jimny from my house, just heading out to go get a haircut. It's about 20 minutes of video. Shortly after this, I get into actually talking about what's going on, so I'll just stop talking now because I'll be talking again in a minute. So, alright. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You don't have to share, but like and subscribe. And the longer you watch the videos, the better. So, anyway, and I promise eventually we're going to get into some better content. It's just going to take a little while. Got to work through some other stuff first and figure some more of this stuff out, the editing and everything else. But we'll get there. I got a lot of cool projects planned, so enjoy. Vehicles 15 years or older, they don't issue a title for, which is fine, except for Virginia DMV. The first one I went to, they were too lazy to look it up to find out that was the case. So I waited in line for almost 2 hours out in the cold, waiting for them to open so I could do a walk-in, because they only do walk-ins 2 days a week, and it's appointment only. Any other time, and it's like 3 months out for an appointment. So after waiting in line for a couple hours out in the cold, problems. They gave me all the paperwork I needed so I could do to verify that I was who I said I was, and all that stuff to go along with not having an actual full title. So after doing all that, I get called up to the window. I've got all my paperwork filled out, and we get to the part where the guy starts inputting the VIN number in, and he gets confused with the Japanese VIN, calls the same manager back over. That manager looks at it 1 second and says, "Oh no, this is a Japanese VIN. We can't do this here at this DMV Select. You have to go to the full service DMV." When just 20 minutes earlier they had told me that they could handle the rest of it. So I took all my paperwork and I left. That was Tuesday, because they're only open Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Thursday, I go to the actual DMV, the full service one, and I wait in line. I got there, an hour and a half before they opened. I was probably 30th or so in line. Waited outside in the cold. Got inside. Got up to the counter, the information counter, to get my number. Everything seemed good. I sat down for a few minutes, waited my turn, went up to the window. The lady started looking through all my paperwork. She said everything looked good. And then she got to, and of course, the first DMV had highlighted every section that I needed to fill out and sign, like every section that needed a signature or needed something done, because there's lots of subsections on those on the different paperwork that you don't have to fill out. And so they highlighted everything I needed to do. But she gets to the one piece of paper that I have to do, because it's not a full title. Just to basically, this piece of paper is basically just to prove I'm who I say I am. And on the back of it, I didn't realize it because they didn't highlight anything there, so I didn't even look at the back of the form. It needs to be notarized. So all this time I've waited and wasted a day getting in line to do this, and one of the forms I have needs to be notarized, so I have to go back. I have to leave again for the second time. I go to my local bank, get them to notarize it to prove that I'm who I say I am, which is ridiculous because my ID that was state issued from that DMV says who I am, but regardless. So I go and do that, but keep in mind that I can't just go back to the DMV, because now the line, I was 30th in line 2 hours before, or an hour and a half before the building opened. Once the building opened, the line was across the front of the building, down the side of the building, and around the back of the building. So I don't have time to go back before I go back to work. There's no way I'd get in and done before then. So I have to push it off to the next Tuesday. So the next Tuesday comes around. Now it's even colder. It's one of the coldest mornings we've had in a while. It was like 28 degrees or something at 6 in the morning. So I was out there at 6:30. I was about 15th in line this time. It's cold as can be out. Waited till they opened. direct, which normally is a great experience with them. They've gone through some, staff changes where I think they're a little more short-staffed now. And the manager, she just seemed super lazy. Like she had no desire to even take a second to make sure what I was going was right, or to make sure I had the proper paperwork. So when I came back, I could get everything done. I had actually made an appointment just in case I couldn't get a walk-in into the main DMV, and that appointment was for like the middle of January. It was the first available appointment I could find over an hour away from my house. And I would have been really pissed off if I had gone to this appointment with all the paperwork that they had highlighted for me, and then found out I needed to get it notarized and have to make another appointment. So it'd be months out on getting tags and titles for this thing. So I was upset when I went to the big DMV the second time, and she told me I needed something notarized, but she actually did her job and made sure that I had all the paperwork right. She apologized that they didn't do their job, and make sure I have all the information I needed. So I mean, I'm not complaining. Just wanted to let people know about the frustrations I had with it, and if somebody else is dealing with a Vermont title or certificate of ownership, or the lack of a title from Vermont, and dealing with Virginia on things you might have to deal with, just to be a little more prepared going into it. Or maybe it may apply to other states too. I don't know what every state does. I've only ever titled things in Maryland and Virginia, so but I've bought vehicles from all kinds. This is the first time with a Vermont certificate of ownership or title. It was an experience. And the girl that helped me the last time to get everything, she was kind of I apologized to her for it being such a difficult task that time, taking up so much of her time to get it all right. But she looked at it as it was a great learning experience for her too. So it worked out. I'm happy I'm driving now, so that's all that matters. framing for it just to stop it from vibrating when it's the wind's blowing, or at speed. Not that I'll be probably driving this thing at 60 or above much. I did hit 70 the other day driving it, but that's not going to happen very often. Overall, though, I'm really happy with this thing. It needs a few little things here and there. I'd actually like to find a J22 or I saw there's a local dealer that has a Jimny Sierra. It's a 94. It says it's a 94. It's the 1300, but it has a split rear bench with the rear seat belts, like with the shoulder harnesses and everything. I'd really love to find a set of those shoulder harnesses and the rear seat, because the seat sits back further and it has they're high back seats. I'd really like to have those. That way my kids can ride in here with me, because this rear seat that's in here now, well, it's not even bolted in. It sits so close to the front seats that you'd have to cut their legs off for them to be able to sit in here. And I was going to mount the seat back further, but with it being such a low back seat, I kind of didn't want to put it back further, because then they're so close to the glass with no head or shoulder support. So, but anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now because I'm almost to where I'm getting my haircut at. So hopefully I didn't make this too long and boring that people skip over it.